The Team Fortress series began as a Quake-World mod in 1996. In 1999, the developers of the mod were hired by Valve Software to develop a standalone version of the game called Team Fortress Classic. Because of the popularity of the game, Valve quickly began development on a potential sequel. However, the sequel took much longer than expected as the developer wasn't really happy with the look and feel of the game. It went through numerous stages of development, and in the beginning it was planned to be a realistic military shooter compared to the more cartoony look we're all familiar with today. When it was first shown at E3 in 1999, it was called Team Fortress Brotherhood of Arms. But after the reveal at E3, the game wasn't officially mentioned again until 7 years later, in 2006. During this time, another version of the game was leaked named Team Fortress Invasion. This version had scrapped the realistic look for a futuristic sci-fi game featuring a war between humans and aliens. It was later revealed that Valve had quietly built 3 or 4 different games before settling on the final design. In 2007, 8 years after the release of the first installment, Team Fortress 2 was released to the public. In a promotional video for the game called Meet the Spy, there's a fight scene between the characters the Spy and the Sniper. During the fight, the Spy manages to cut the Sniper on the left side of his cheek. After the release of the video, the Sniper's in-game player model was updated to add the scar that the Sniper actually got in the video. The voice lines,
"No other class gonna do that. If you order now, I'll throw in a second beating, absolutely free. Look at this, just caved in your skull, my bat's still dry. No clumps of hair, nothing."
Were added in the Scout update to the game after fans noticed a resemblance between the Scout and TV pitchman Vince Offer. Offer is best known for being the pitchman for the ShamWow commercials, and that's exactly what these lines are referencing. There are so many references and Easter eggs in this game. For example, the spy knife, your eternal reward, is a reference to the dagger used by Jafar in Aladdin. The wooden section of the Liberty launcher has a crack on the right side, which is a reference to the famous Liberty Bell. The name of the Dalacus bar is actually the Russian word for chocolate spelled backwards. The bow tie Dr. Whoa is of course a reference to Doctor Who. The weapons Babyface Blaster and the Pretty Boy pocket pistols are references to the famous 1930 criminals George Babyface Nelson and Charles Pretty Boy Floyd. The hat Familiar Fest is a reference to the character Mustafa from the movie Austin Powers 2. The AppSap is a reference to Wheatley from Portal 2. One of the taunt kills for the Pyro is called Hadouken. This is of course a direct reference to Street Fighter. It's from Street Fighter. Can I at least finish the sentence before? When the red tape recorder is slowed down by about 80%, you can hear that it's actually someone saying, "Let's make some noise." In early development, the game was planned to feature grenades, and for those of you who played the first installment might remember that grenades were a strong feature in Team Fortress Classic. It's later been explained that they decided not to use them in the end because they were afraid players would rely on them too heavily and start spamming them instead. Thus, they were removed from the game entirely. The inside of the virtual viewfinder has a texture with the text "Game Over." The texture for the hazmat head case has a hidden note in the corner that means Sparkwire loves Primrose forever, both of whom are credited for the item's creation. The Neon Annihilator's battery has a nod to the Facepunch forums that reads "Death to Facepunch." If a scout is blown up, there's a 1 in 100 chance that a dove will fly out of his body. This is a reference to the final scene of the promotional video Meet the Medic, where Archimedes is revealed to be stuck inside the scout's chest. The two teams featured in the game, Red and Blue, is actually not named after the colors. The red team stands for Reliable Excavation and Demolition, and the blue team stands for Builders League United. As Team Fortress 2 doesn't have any type of story or campaign mode to speak of, it's not surprising that a lot of players are unaware of the extensive universe in which the game actually takes place. This universe and its sort of hidden storyline has slowly been revealed through the use of comics and promotional videos for the game. The story begins in the early 19th century with a man named Zephaniah Munn. Along with his wife, he has 3 sons named Redmond, Bluetorch and Grey. For those of you who's been paying attention, this is also the main reason why the teams are named Red and Blue. Anyhow, Redmond and Bluetorch were born perfectly normal, but Grey was born underweight, so Zephaniah ordered the baby to be smothered. However, before he could do so, Grey was abducted by an eagle and managed to survive. Yeah, I know, a fucking eagle. Skipping forward a few decades, and Zephaniah is now nearing the end of his life, and thus decides to divide the land that he owns into 2 equal parts, one for Redmond and one for Bluetorch. Given the nature of the game, it's not so hard to figure out what happens next. The 2 brothers each hire a team of 9 mercenaries to take over the land of the other, and there you have the basic premise of the actual game. But the war between the 2 brothers continue, and we need to jump forward another few decades into the mid to late 20th century where the game actually takes place. By this time, the 2 companies, Red and Blue, have been formed and are now controlled by a woman named Helen, also known as the Administrator. The brother Grey is still alive and manages to kill Redmond and Bluetorch, who was also still alive through the use of a life-extending machine. After Grey successfully assassinates his 2 brothers, he starts a war against the corporation using his robot army. After Grey takes control, the Administrator and her assistant Miss Powling goes into hiding, and the mercenaries from both Red and Blue end up unemployed because of this. And that's the very brief history of the Team Fortress 2 storyline so far.